Gather round, you young'uns, closer to the fire now. The woods out here in Arkansas hold secrets, old secrets that whisper on the wind when the night gets deep and the shadows stretch long. You think you know scary? Huh? You ain't seen nothing yet? Tonight I'm going to tell you about things that ain't in your school books, things that make the hair on the back of your neck stand straight up. We're going to start with a legend, a real Ozark spook story from down south, near the murky waters of Boggy Creek. Now, this was back in the early 70s, though some folks claim old what's-his-name has been wandering these parts for longer than any of us been alive. It started down in Miller County, around the little town of Fouke. Seemed like folks started seeing things, hearing things, things that just weren't natural. It began with tracks, big ones, bigger than any bear, bigger than any man. 3-toed they were, sunk deep in the mud near the creek. Then came the howls. Lord have mercy, those howls. They'd cut through the night, a mournful, chilling sound that'd make your blood run cold. It wasn't like a wolf, not like a coyote. This was deeper, wilder, like something lost and angry in the dark. Folks started talking. Whispers turned to shouts as more and more people had encounters. They described something tall, 7 feet easy, covered in thick, dark hair. Some said it looked like an ape, but walking upright like a man. Others swore it had glowing red eyes that pierced the darkness like embers. They called it the Fouke monster, or the Boggy Creek creature. The Ford family, they were the first to really bring it to light. One night, Mr. Ford was sitting in his house when something started banging on the walls. Not just a little knock, mind you, but a violent, thunderous pounding that shook the whole cabin. He grabbed his gun, but whatever it was, it circled the house, growling and scratching. They saw it in the moonlight, a huge shadowy figure moving just beyond the windows. The sheriff came out, of course, but what could he do? There were tracks, sure enough, and the Fords were scared half out of their wits, but there wasn't nothing to arrest, nothing you could put in a jail cell. The story spread like wildfire. Folks locked their doors tighter at night, kept their children close. Some even started carrying guns just to walk to the mailbox. There were more sightings. A farmer swore he saw it crossing his field in the early morning mist. A couple driving late one night said their car headlights caught its massive form disappearing into the trees. Every time someone saw it, the description was a little different, a little more terrifying. Was it real? Was it just folks' imaginations running wild? Well, they even made a movie about it, The Legend of Boggy Creek. Scared a whole generation, that picture did. But the movie was just a story, right? Just Hollywood make-believe? Maybe. But even after all these years, folks around Fouke still talk about the howls in the night, the strange tracks in the mud. Every now and then, someone will swear they've seen something moving in the shadows, something big and hairy, watching from the edge of the woods. They say it's still out there, wandering the swamps and the thick timber, a creature of the old wild, a reminder that there are things in this world we don't understand, things that go bump in the night and leave 3-toed tracks behind. All right, now, that's enough of that for one story. Let the embers settle a bit. Let the night get a little deeper. You feel that chill in the air? That ain't just the night getting colder. It's something else, something lingering. Now, who's ready to hear about a light that dances on the railroad tracks? A light with a story all its own. Now we're going to travel north a little, still in Arkansas though, to the town of Gurdon in Clark County. This story ain't about a monster with claws and teeth, but about something just as eerie, something that flickers in the darkness and makes you wonder what lies beyond what we can see. I'm talking about the Gurdon Light. Now these are old railroad tracks just outside of Gurdon. Been there for years and years. Back in the day, they were busy, trains chugging along, carrying timber and folks from one place to another. But there was a tragedy on those tracks, a terrible accident that folks still whisper about. The story goes that there was a railroad worker. Some say his name was William McLean, though others have different names for him. It was a foggy night, thick as pea soup, and he was out on the tracks doing his job, inspecting or signaling, depending on who you ask. A train came barreling down the line, and in that heavy fog, well, he never saw it coming. The poor fellow was struck, and, well, the details are gruesome, but let's just say it was a bad one. A decapitation, they say. Now, ever since that night, folks have been seeing something strange out on those tracks. A light. Not the steady beam of a train, but a single bobbing light. Sometimes it's a soft white glow, other times it's a fiery red or an eerie blue. It dances and sways, moving along the tracks, disappearing and then reappearing as if it's searching for something. They call it the Gurdon Light. Plenty of folks have seen it, reliable people too, not just some drunk fellas out for a lark. They describe it as a lantern, swinging back and forth, as if someone is carrying it. Some say if you get close enough, the light will move away, always just out of reach. Others claim it'll disappear right before your eyes. Of course, the smart folks, the ones who like to explain everything with science, they've got their theories. Swamp gas, they say. Methane bubbles rising from the marshy ground nearby, igniting and looking like a light. Makes sense, right? Except swamp gas don't usually move along railroad tracks, and it don't change colors like folks say the Gurdon Light does. Then there are the reflections from car headlights on the nearby highway. Sure, there's a road not too far off, but people have seen this light long before that road was even paved. And besides, car lights don't bob and weave like a lantern being carried by someone walking. No, sir. Most folks around Gurdon, they know what that light is. It's the poor railroad worker still out there on those tracks, searching in the dark. Searching for what he lost that foggy night. His head. Think about it. Imagine being lost like that, your life taken so suddenly, your very being ripped apart. Wouldn't you wander? Wouldn't you search, hoping to become whole again? That little bobbing light, that's all that's left of him. A ghostly lantern swinging in the darkness, forever looking for what he can never find. There have been investigations, of course, people trying to capture it on film, trying to figure out what it is. Some have even tried to chase it down. But it always stays just ahead, a spectral beacon in the night. One story I heard was about a group of teenagers, brave and foolish as teenagers often are, who decided to go out to the tracks late one night to see the light for themselves. They parked their car a ways off and walked down the tracks, flashlights in hand. Sure enough, they saw it in the distance, a faint white glow. As they got closer, it started to move towards them, picking up speed. They froze, scared stiff, as the light swung wildly, coming right at them. Just when they thought it was going to crash into them, it vanished. Gone. Just like that. They didn't stick around to see if it came back. So the next time you're driving through Arkansas late at night and you see a strange light off in the distance, bobbing and weaving in the darkness, especially if it's near some old railroad tracks, well, you just might be seeing the Gurdon Light. And if you do, just remember the poor soul, carrying, still searching in the lonely night. All right, that's another tale for ya. Feel that unease settling in? Good. We're just getting started. Now we're going to move on to a different kind of ghost, a more modern one, that hitches a ride on the highways of our state. Get ready to hear about the phantom hitchhiker of Highway 365. All right, gathering closer. The fire's crackling nice and warm, but don't let it fool ya. The chill of the supernatural can seep right through you, even on a warm Arkansas night. We've talked about a hairy beast of the swamp and a ghostly light on the tracks. Now we're going to delve into a more modern kind of haunting, one that plays out on the blacktop of our highways. Tonight, we're talking about the phantom hitchhiker of Highway 365. It's a long stretch of road that winds its way through Arkansas, connecting towns and crossing lonely stretches of countryside. And it's on one particular curve, or sometimes folks say it's a few different spots along that highway where the legend lives. The legend of a young woman, always dressed in white, who appears out of nowhere, looking for a ride. The stories have been going around for years, passed down from truckers to late-night travelers, from teenagers out joyriding to folks just trying to get home after a long day. They all tell a similar tale. It starts with someone driving along Highway 365. usually late at night when the road is deserted and the only light comes from their headlights cutting through the darkness. As they approach a certain curve, they see her. A young woman standing by the side of the road, bathed in the pale glow of the moon or the harsh glare of their headlights. She's always wearing a white dress. Some say it's a wedding dress, others just a simple white gown. Her face is often obscured by shadows or long dark hair, adding to the mystery. Feeling a pang of sympathy or just being a good Samaritan, the driver pulls over and offers her a ride. She's usually quiet, maybe a little sad, and gives a short destination, often somewhere further down Highway 365. She'll get in the back seat, and the driver will continue on their way, maybe trying to make small talk, but she rarely says much in return. Then comes the strange part. After a few miles, maybe as they approach her supposed destination, the driver will glance in the rearview mirror to see if she's ready to get out. But she's gone, vanished. The backseat is empty. The doors haven't been opened. There's no logical explanation for her disappearance. Sometimes they say there's a lingering chill in the air where she was sitting, or the seat is damp, as if she were soaking wet even on a dry night. Other times, there's just an unsettling feeling, a sense of something not being right. The most common explanation for this phantom hitchhiker is a tragic accident. The story goes that years ago, a young woman was killed on that stretch of Highway 365. Some say she was on her way to her wedding, hence the white dress. Others say she was just walking home late one night. Whatever the details, the tragedy left a mark on that lonely stretch of road. Now, her spirit, they say, is forever bound to that highway, forever trying to reach her destination, forever seeking a ride that will never truly take her where she needs to go. Think about the fear that would grip you. One minute you're giving someone a lift, the next they've simply ceased to exist in your car. No doors opening, no sound, just gone. It makes you question what you saw, what you experienced. Were you dreaming? Did your mind play tricks on you in the dead of night? But the stories persist. Too many people from all walks of life have reported the same eerie encounter. Truck drivers, who spend countless hours on those roads, swear they've seen her. Young couples on late-night drives have been spooked by her sudden appearance and even more sudden disappearance. Some folks say, if you see her, you shouldn't pick her up, that she's a harbinger of bad luck, or worse. Others say she just needs someone to acknowledge her, to maybe say a prayer for her lost soul. I remember hearing a story from an old-timer who used to drive a delivery truck along Highway 365 back in the 70s. He said he picked her up one rainy night. She was shivering, soaked to the bone, and just pointed down the road. He drove for about 10 miles, and when he looked in the mirror, she was gone. But the back seat was soaking wet, and he said he felt a coldness that lasted the rest of his drive. He never picked up another hitchhiker on that stretch of road again. So the next time you're cruising down Highway 365 late at night and you see a figure in white by the side of the road, think twice before you stop. It might just be your imagination playing tricks on you in the darkness. But then again, it might be the woman in white, still trying to get home. A ghostly reminder of a tragedy on that lonely Arkansas highway. All right, that's enough of those highway haunts for now. You feel that shiver down your spine? That's the past reaching out. We've journeyed through the swamps and along the tracks, and now we've cruised a haunted highway. But our night of spooky stories ain't over yet. Next, we're heading to a place steeped in history. A place where the past isn't just a memory, it's a presence. Get ready to hear about the ghosts of the Crescent Hotel. All right, gather round. The fire's burning low, but the spirits are still stirring. We've braved swamp creatures, ghostly lights, and phantom hitchhikers. Now, we're heading up into the Ozark Mountains to a place with a long and, let's just say, active history. We're talking about the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs. This ain't just a place to lay your head for the night. It's a place where the past walks the halls and whispers in the shadows. Built way back in 1886, the Crescent Hotel started out as a grand resort. a place for the wealthy to escape and enjoy the healing springs of the Ozarks. It was a beacon of elegance and luxury in its time. But its story took a dark turn in the 1930s when a fella named Norman Baker bought it and turned it into a cancer hospital. Now, Baker wasn't a real doctor. He was a charlatan, a quack who promised miracle cures for cancer using all sorts of outlandish and unproven methods. It was a place of desperation and, sadly for many, a place where hope went to die. People came from all over, sick and scared, pouring out their life savings for Baker's so-called treatments. It's said that many souls suffered within those walls, and some of them, well, they never truly left. After Baker's operation was shut down, the hotel went through various phases, but the stories of strange happenings, of unexplained occurrences, never really stopped. Guests and staff alike have reported a whole host of paranormal activity over the years, enough to earn the Crescent a reputation as one of the most haunted hotels in America. One of the most famous ghostly residents is a fella they call Michael. He's believed to be a stonemason who fell to his death during the hotel's construction. Folks have reported seeing his apparition, a shadowy figure, especially around the area where he supposedly fell, often near room 218. They say he's a friendly ghost, mostly just making his presence known with a cold spot or a sudden draft. But Michael isn't the only one. There's the spirit of a nurse, often seen pushing a gurney down the hallways. Some say she was one of the nurses during Baker's time, forever tending to her lost patients. There are also reports of children's laughter echoing through empty corridors and the faint scent of lavender, believed to be from a former guest. And then there's the hotel's spectral feline. They say a ghostly cat roams the grounds, sometimes brushing against guests' legs or appearing as a fleeting shadow in the corner of your eye. Room 218. Room 218. That's a place with its own special brand of spooky. It's said to be haunted by several different spirits, but one of the most frequently reported is a mischievous entity who likes to play pranks on guests. Things moving on their own, lights flickering, doors opening and closing. All the classic signs of a restless spirit. Some guests have even reported feeling like they're being watched or touched while staying in that room. Think about staying in a place like that. You're trying to get a good night's sleep, but you keep hearing strange noises, feeling cold spots, maybe even catching a glimpse of someone who shouldn't be there. It'd be enough to keep you up all night, wouldn't it? The Crescent Hotel has embraced its haunted history. They even offer ghost tours, walking folks through the shadowy hallways and telling the tales of the spirits that linger there. Many visitors come specifically hoping to have a paranormal encounter. There are countless stories. Guests who have seen full-bodied apparitions walk through walls, heard disembodied voices whispering in their ears, or felt an unseen presence lying next to them in bed. Staff members have their own tales of cleaning rooms only to find things rearranged later, or of hearing footsteps when no one else is around. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying the eerie atmosphere of the Crescent Hotel. Its long and sometimes tragic history seems to have left an imprint, a lingering energy that some interpret as the presence of spirits. It's a place where the past feels very much alive, where the whispers of yesterday echo in the stillness of the night. So, if you ever find yourself in Eureka Springs and you're looking for a stay with a little extra ambiance, consider the Crescent Hotel. Just be prepared for the possibility that you might not be the only guest in the room. Alright, that's a taste of the ghostly goings-on at that old mountaintop hotel. Pretty spooky stuff, huh? But don't let those Ozark spirits keep you up all night just yet. We've got one more story to share before the night is truly through. A tale from the depths of one of our mighty rivers. Get ready to hear about the legend of the White River Monster. Alright, this is it, the last story of the night. The fire's dying down, the shadows are dancing in the flickering light, and the woods are quiet except for the chirping of crickets. We've journeyed through swamps, along haunted tracks, down a ghostly highway, and up to a hotel full of spirits. Now we're going to head east to the banks of one of Arkansas's most famous waterways, the White River, near the town of Newport. This is a tale of something mysterious that lurks beneath the surface, the legend of the White River Monster. Now, the stories of something strange living in the White River go back a good ways. Some folks say even to the early 1900s. But it was really in the 1970s, around the same time that Fouke monster was making headlines down south, that the legend of the White River Monster really took hold. It started with sightings, sporadic at first, but then they became more frequent. People described seeing a large, dark shape moving in the water. Some said it was long and serpentine, like a giant snake or eel. Others described it as having a humped back and a rough, leathery skin. Estimates of its size varied wildly, from 15 feet to something closer to the length of a small boat. These weren't just fleeting glimpses either. Some folks claimed to have watched it for extended periods, seeing it swim and even surface briefly. There were even reports of strange noises coming from the river, deep, rumbling sounds that couldn't be explained by boats or natural phenomena. The excitement really peaked in the early 1970s, when a local farmer, Bramlett Bateman, reported seeing the creature on multiple occasions. He even took photographs, though they were grainy and inconclusive, fueling the mystery even further. Bateman described it as having a grayish-brown color and a body that moved with an undulating motion. His sightings brought national attention to the White River Monster. Soon, the area around Newport was buzzing. Tourists flocked to the riverbanks, hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive creature. There were even expeditions organized to try and find it, though none ever turned up any concrete evidence. The local businesses thrived on the attention, selling souvenirs and telling tales of Whitey, as some folks affectionately nicknamed the monster. Of course, just like with the Fouke monster and the Gurdon Light, there were plenty of folks ready with explanations. Some suggested it was a large alligator gar, a prehistoric-looking fish that can grow to impressive sizes in the White River. Others thought it might be a stray manatee that had somehow wandered upriver. Still others whispered about giant catfish, or even some kind of undiscovered freshwater mammal. But none of those explanations ever quite fit all the descriptions. The size and the way it moved didn't always match up with known creatures. And the persistent reports over the years, even after the initial flurry of excitement died down, kept the legend alive. Think about the mystery of it all. A large, unknown creature living in the depths of a familiar river. Something hidden beneath the murky water, occasionally revealing itself just enough to spark the imagination and leave folks wondering what else might be out there. The sightings have become less frequent in recent years. Maybe the creature moved on, or maybe folks just stopped looking as intently, but the legend endures. Down in Newport, you'll still hear whispers about Whitey, especially among the older folks who remember the excitement of those early sightings. They say that on a quiet night, when the moon hangs heavy over the White River and the water flows dark and deep, you might just catch a glimpse of something moving beneath the surface. A ripple that's a little too big, a shadow that lingers a little too long. And for a moment, the legend of the White River Monster will feel as real as the muddy banks beneath your feet. So there you have it. 5 tales from the shadows and the mysteries of Arkansas. We've met creatures of the swamp, ghosts of the tracks and highways and hotels, and a monster in the river's depths. These stories, they're more than just spooky tales to tell around a campfire. They're a part of our history, our folklore, the things that make this place a little bit wild, a little bit mysterious. Now the fire's just about embers, and the night is deep. Time for sleep, young'uns. But as you drift off, just remember the stories you've heard tonight. Remember the howls in the dark, the bobbing light on the tracks, the woman in white by the roadside, the whispers in the old hotel, and the shadows in the river. Because out here in Arkansas, you never know what might be real and what might just be a legend, until you see it for yourself. Sleep tight and keep an eye out. You never know what lurks just beyond the edge of the firelight.
Thanks for joining us in the shadows tonight. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories every week. Have you got a story of your own? Share it in the comments below. We love hearing from you. And remember, the darkness holds many secrets. Are you brave enough to uncover them? Until next time, keep your lights on and your doors locked. Sweet nightmares.